here we are the next day. So this has been quite an interesting morning so far. So I've just tacked him up, and I was leading him from the round pen to the arena. So that's away from what we saw it was scared of yesterday. And somebody fired some shots in the woods, which is the area he's scared of anyway. So that was unhelpful. But here we are. This is 5 minutes later. And we just got ourselves down this end of the arena. And he's really quite settled. I'm quite pleased with how he's going. So that's good news. Now his left side is worse than his right side. So he gets more nervous on his left than he does on his right. The horse apparently like to see scary things out of their left eye. So it might be that right here, the woods sort of go out of his line of vision. So that makes him scared. And the reason I know he's scared is because his head elevation increases and he starts to get tense and the muscles under his neck get stiff or get used, get employed, and he speeds up. So right here, he'll speed up in this section of the circle. He didn't right then, but he usually does to get away from what he considers the scary thing. So this is good. It's just, you know, he's walking quite nicely here. I'm really happy with that. And you see he's less looky at it as well. Despite the shots fired this morning, he really is not looking at it quite as much as he was before. So I'm very pleased with that as well. I was just very pleased with him generally. You're a good horse, aren't you? Yes. Good boy. All right, let's pop him into trot. That was nice. He didn't get any change in his posture when he moved up to trot, so that was good. And there, his head remained low. He remained really relaxed, all past what we call the scary section of the circle. So now that we've got him more in the bubble, I want to talk today a little bit about how we can really sort of make our cues clearer and make his job much easier because of that. So I'm quite happy for him just to jog along like this. If he remains relaxed, I'm quite happy for him not to do a working trot. I think we worry too much about the quality of the pace early on. What I want early on is relaxation and focus. So I want him to stay in the bubble, and I want him to relax, and I want him to listen to me. That's all. I can make it pretty later. I can get head elevation later. I can get quality of pace later. Walk. Good boy. So what I want to do is I want to keep him sensitive to my cues, and I want him to remain relaxed. So for sensitivity to cues, you see, Josh Lyons always says, if you want your horse to respond better to it, use it less. And that's so true. Horses, and walk. Horses desensitize to things very easily. So, and our voice is a cue. Our voice is a pressure cue. So if I cluck at him for trot, and I'm going to stop clucking as soon as he trots. So just watch this. Now I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let him make the mistake of walking. I'm not going to correct him when he looks like he's going to walk. So let's see if he does. But as soon as he did, I put that pressure cue on him again, didn't I? My voice. I got a second pressure cue, which is this whip behind him. So I can also use that. If I want him to speed up, so sort of speed within gait, he's already got trot. So I'm going to cluck at him again, and he's going to think, well, I'm already trotting. So all he can do is trot a little bit faster. So there we go. Good boy, good boy. And bend to the inside and walk. Walk. Good boy. So I use one cluck for walk. If I want him to walk faster, I'll cluck once at him. And I use 2 or more clucks for trot. And if I want him to trot faster, I'll cluck at him quite a lot until he does. If I want him to extend, I cluck several times, but more slowly, so I slow it down. And for canter, I kiss. So it's quite a different picture from yesterday, isn't it? And that really is the only work he's had. He's just had that. He had a short ride yesterday, and now he's come out this morning and he's so much more settled. I'm very pleased with this. It really does go to show, you know, it's just a matter of putting that time in, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time. I really don't agree with that. Miles under the bell or wet saddlecloth days or any of those things. I think repetition's great, but good repetition. You know, practice makes perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect. So, you know, you don't just put hours on your horse, put good repetitions on your horse. Good boy, look at you. That was good. That time he raised his head elevation a little bit. He looked at the thing, but he stayed well in the bubble. We're not changing his posture anymore. As you saw yesterday, he was stiffening up those muscles under his neck. He's not doing that today. You can see that under his neck they're still loose and floppy, and he's using his top line muscles. So I'm very pleased with that. That's a big difference in his posture from one day to the next. And that's exactly what we're looking for. This is a horse, you know, I love long reining because I use it to say, right, you know, can I ride that? So if the horse is bucking or running off, or, you know, sticking its head in the air and pulling against the reins, then, you know, can I ride it well? If it's bucking, no. If it's bolting, no. If it's bracing itself and pulling again against the reins, yes, I probably can. But the second question you've got to ask yourself is, do I want to? And my answer to that, if any of those things are happening, is no. I want to ride this horse. I want to ride the horse that stays relaxed throughout the circle, the horse that stays in the bubble, the horse that's relaxed and listening. I don't want to ride a horse where I have to cross my fingers and hope for the best that it's in the bubble. We know that anything can happen. You know, the fellow in the woods might start to shoot again, and if I'm on the horse, then, you know, he might well take 3 counter strides, which is what he did when I was leading him over here. I don't think it's going to be anything much worse than that. He certainly, you know, didn't spin and buck and run, which is an alternative. Because I've worked him on the ground and we've been through different situations, particularly on the long reins, I know sort of what's in there. So I know what might happen. And that gives me confidence. You know, we talk a lot about rider confidence, but really what it is it's knowing what might happen next. So we might never know exactly what will happen, but we'll get a pretty good idea if we know the horse well on the ground from doing exercises like this one. So I always think it doesn't really make any difference to the horse once they're started under saddle, once they've been habituated to carrying a rider, which this horse has, then it doesn't make much difference to him whether I'm on his back or on the ground. What I'm trying to teach him is this is the posture I want you to maintain when you're working. So when I'm riding, you're working. When we're on the ground, you're working. This is the posture I want you to maintain. And that's why I start doing this with the young horses, because I want them to build up those top line muscles. You know, that's really important, that when I do start riding the horse, that I don't make it sore. If you take a horse that's been sitting in the paddock for the first 3 or 4 years of its life and then start riding it for an hour a day, it's going to get sore. So he hasn't been using these top line muscles for the past year or so when he's been off. And so I need to really build those up. So that's why long reining's great, because he doesn't have to carry me. At the same time, we can really focus on building the correct muscles. Come on. Oh, I know it's very scary. And I'd rather do that and have short rides so that the ride becomes the easy bit and the long reining becomes the work, you know, that's where we're building muscles and getting him to focus and things.